Hey guys, some stupid sketch show guy here with another prehistoric figure review, and for today's prehistoric figure review, we are going to be reviewing another very classic and very rare Carnegie figure, the Safari Limited Carnegie 2008 Tylosaurus. So let's get into it. So first up, as always, we go with the paint job. And the paint job, I think, is very nice. It is very simple as well, as the predominant colors on this figure are dark green and black stripes, with a white belly. And I think that this paint job is done very well. I really do like how it is applied. It's very shiny, it has a very marine sheen that really makes it look good, and the simple coloring means that it isn't really that complicated. It's nice and simple. You got black on the top, green in the center, and white on the belly. And it's executed very, very good. Of course, there is the small nitpick that it is a little unrealistic to assume that this thing would look like a pickle, but that's only if you're a paleo nerd. Me, I don't mind the pickle look, and because of that, I give the paint job an 8 out of 10. Next up is the pose. And, like most marine reptiles, the pose isn't exactly what you come to see. It's very simple, and has some small subtle details that help it, such as the turning of the tail. This sort of twisting and turning of the tail is very nice, keeping it from being overly straight. And I do very much like that. It makes it look very serpentine as it's slithering side to side. The flippers are well positioned, and the rest of the body doesn't really have that kind of same bending that the tail does. Besides the tail and the neck, which, yeah, both point in a certain direction, this figure is incredibly straight, like an arrow. And that's simple. It's simple, it has nice subtle little turns and twists in it. That's kind of all you can really ask for when it comes to a nice simple pose. So for that, I give the pose an 8 out of 10 as well. Then after that, we have the scientific accuracy, which does play into both the paint job and the pose. But for this section, I'm going to let someone more qualified in the field talk about it. So I decided to invite a guest over in paleontology student CAWCarcharo34, who does in fact study mosasaurs, so I thought it would be perfect for him to go over the accuracy of this figure. So, without further ado, here's what he had to say.
Whilst this model has the iconic projections on the top jaw and the bottom jaw that we've seen in so many species of Tylosaurus, this figure is actually outdated in its accuracies. Firstly, the coloration is wrong, and that is due to recent studies that have shown that marine reptiles like Tylosaurus would have actually had a dark complexion, maybe even counter shading. This figure does do a certain job at that, but the green coloration does not do its justice. Additionally, the neck posture is wrong, as it is in a upward motion and should actually be horizontal and in line with the rest of the body. And additionally, the tail is wrong. The tail is of a sea snake-like complexion and is not of the dorsal and ventral lobes that we know that mosasaurs had from a specimen of Prognathodon and a specimen of Platycarpus. And therefore, this gives this figure's accuracy a 5 out of 10 from me.
Thank you, Ka, for that insight. Lastly, we've got the detail. And the detail is very subtle, which is to be expected, as you don't expect scales on a figure like this. But when it comes to the details, on the main body, there aren't that many. There's small little grooves and small little things on here. Like over here, you can see very subtle grooves on the skin, but that's kind of about all you can get. Some of the better detail definitely goes when you see into the mouth, as the mouth has a fully sculpted tongue and even the Terminator teeth, which is a very good touch. A very well applied one. The mouth detail is amazing, but the teeth detail isn't. The teeth look really bad. I get that they are trying to make it safe for children, but they didn't have to make them these little polka dots. It looks super old, like after years and years of biting, it's worn all its teeth down to nubs. But as we go down to the flippers, this is also where the detail does shine, as you can really see the flipper bone. You can really see it almost having fingers as you run down these little dents on the flipper. Same applies for the other flippers as well. But besides that, the majority of the body is mainly just super smooth and not super detailed. But it doesn't need to be super detailed. And because of that, I give the overall detail on this figure a 7.25 out of 10. So now time for my overall review. While not great for counter shading, the paint job is still very well applied. The pose, while not as horizontal as you would have wished, is still very well done and has some very nice subtle twists and turns to make it not completely streamlined. The scientific accuracy, while it was great at the time, hasn't aged well in the last decade, and the detail, while it isn't the most obvious when you look at it from a distance, is still very well done and very subtle, although the teeth could really use some work. So, for my final rating, I give the Safari Limited Carnegie Tylosaurus a 7 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and huge thanks to CAWCarcharo34 for helping in the accuracy section of the video, and see you guys next time.